Good morning, children.
Morning, ma'am.
Morning, ma'am.
We completed fertilization and implantation and started with pregnancy. And please summarize the points that we learned last class so that we can proceed with today's topic. Gayatri. So, Gayatri, just start.
After implantation, finger-like structures form on the
No,
diploblast.
fertilization and implantation. From fertilization, you can say. Where does fertilization take place? Site of fertilization.
The region of the
Ampullary region of fallopian tube. And what happens when a sperm comes in contact with the ovum? What are the changes taking place? Malavika, what are the changes taking place?
Sperm contacts with zona pellucida and a change undergoes in the membrane, and it stops additional sperms from entering.
Yes, Punya, then what happens?
The secretions of the acrosome helps in fertilizing the egg by allowing it to pass through the zona pellucida and the plasma membrane.
Plasma membrane. And next, Donna.
Then the zygote undergoes mitotic division and
Zygote
forms
undergoes mitotic division. No, before that, something more I said, no?
second
Ah,
meiotic division
Yes, second meiotic division.
of secondary oocyte
Carried out by the secondary oocyte, and it will
to
change
form ovum,
Hmm.
which is also known as otid,
Ah.
and a second polar body.
body. And the nucleus of haploid nuclei of both sperm and egg fuses. It will fuse and forms
Diploid zygote.
diploid zygote. Now, Naureen,
The zygote undergoes mitotic division as it moves through the isthmus, and it forms 2, 4, 8, and 16 daughter cells called blastomeres.
okay. Next, Nandana.
The embryo with 8 to 16 blastomeres is called a morula. That
Okay,
contains-
enough. Now, Vidur.
Morula continues to divide and forms blastocyst.
Then Rijas. Tell me about the structure
In
of
blastocyst, blastomeres are arranged. Blastomeres are arranged into trophoblast
An outer layer of
and an
blastomeres.
inner
we
cell
call it.
mass.
Okay. Blastomeres are arranged on outer side, and you call it as trophoblast, and there is an inner cell mass which is attached to trophoblast. And now what else we learned?
After attachment, the uterine cells divide and
Uterus divides.
uterine
Uterine cells will divide
and cover the blastocyst.
Then Lydia, what is next? Don't tell me that I was absent.
Blastocysts become embedded in the endometrium, and it is called implantation.
You are good at reading. Okay, that is known as implantation. Steffi, then once implantation has taken place, what is the next change happening?
The inner cell mass gets differentiated into 3 layers. The outer endoderm, middle mesoderm, and inner ectoderm.
What do you call this stage?
Gastrula.
What is the significance of this stage? Anthony? Gastrula consists of 3 germ layers. What is its significance?
There are 3 layers.
Will form?
3 layers embryo.
No. What is the significance of these 3 layers? From these 3 layers, what are formed?
Embryo.
Directly embryo. Embryo, this gastrula is also an embryonic stage. It will form different cells and tissues and organs of the embryo. Okay, gastrula, morula, all these are the different stages of embryo, and it is from these different germ layers that different tissues and organs are being formed. And then what else we discuss, Sania? After that, implantation is completed. Now,
After that, finger-like projections appear known as chronic villi.
what will I?
Chronic,
Chorionic villi will develop, and then
they will form an close association with the uterine tissue.
plenty of animals there. Huh? Last day it was dog, today hen. No problem, good. But tell me the answer once again.
So they will form a close in the digit with uterine tissue.
Interdigitated means they
Close
join like this and form.
Placenta.
And what is the significance of placenta? Nandana got a chance. Nandana?
It is a structural and functional unit between the
Between
mother and the baby.
embryo and the maternal body. And how is placenta connected to the embryo, and how the transport of different substances to and from is taking place between mother and the baby?
Through the umbilical cord.
Umbilical cord. So placenta gets attached to the placenta gets attached to the embryo with the help of an umbilical cord, and it is through this umbilical cord that the different substances, both nutrients, gases, waste materials, etc., get transported. So we'll continue. So this we already discussed. The chorionic villi and uterine tissue are interdigitated to form placenta. It's a structural and functional unit between fetus and maternal body. And it is with the help of an umbilical cord that the placenta is connected to the embryo to facilitate the transport of substances. Now, functions of placenta. Placenta serves different functions. Let's see what are the different functions performed by placenta. In class 10, very briefly, you have learned about the functions of placenta. It acts as a barrier between the fetus and the mother. Placenta is a structural and functional unit between the mother and the fetus, and it acts as a barrier, supplies oxygen, nutrients, etc. Oh, Steffi, from mother to fetus. Next, removes carbon dioxide and excretory waste from fetus. Once again, I'll repeat. It helps in the transport of nutrients, oxygen, etc. to the fetus from the mother. And from the fetus, carbon dioxide and excretory waste will be removed. And the third function, which you haven't learned in class 10, is that placenta acts as an endocrine gland. So when you say it acts as an endocrine gland, you know that it has the capability, or it is capable of producing hormones. And it produces a group of hormones: human chorionic gonadotropin, HCG, human placental lactogen, HPL, estrogens, progesterone, and relaxin. These are the different hormones produced by placenta. Once again, I'll repeat the functions of placenta. It acts as a barrier between the mother and the fetus and helps in the transport of different substances. It supplies, or it carries, oxygen and nutrients from the mother to the fetus, whereas it removes carbon dioxide and waste materials from the fetus to the mother's blood, so that it can be expelled from there. And it acts as an endocrine gland and produces different hormones like human chorionic gonadotropin, human placental lactogen, estrogens, progesterone, and relaxin. You don't have to learn the functions of these hormones, but I'll just tell you, just for your information. If you want, you can note down, not necessary from the exam point of view. Human chorionic gonadotropin. It helps in maintaining pregnancy by supporting the endometrial lining. Maintains the endometrial lining, or you can say it is supporting the endometrial lining and maintains pregnancy. Then it will also help in the maintenance of corpus luteum. Okay, I'll repeat once again. Human chorionic gonadotropin. It will support the endometrial lining and maintains pregnancy, maintains corpus luteum. Then human placental lactogen. It helps in preparing the breast or the mammary glands for lactation. Okay, once again, it will prepare the mammary glands for lactation. And it will also help in decreasing the mother's use of glucose so that this can be kept aside for the growing embryo or the growing fetus. Then prolactin. Prolactin is not mentioned, that we are going to learn. Progesterone. Progesterone, it's a group of, it comes under a group of hormones which you call as progestogens. Progestogens is a group of hormones, and progesterone comes under progestogens, progesterone. And this progesterone is the most important progestogen, and it regulates menstrual cycle, prepares mammary glands for lactation, helps in the maintenance of pregnancy. Okay, those are the functions performed by progesterone. And coming to relaxin, as a term, as the name suggests, it will help in relaxing the pelvic ligaments. The ligaments present in the pelvis will relax under the influence of this hormone, and it also helps in softening and widening the cervix to facilitate childbirth. So quickly, I will tell you the functions. As I told you, you don't have to learn functions from the exam point of view, but I'll just tell you the functions. So we started with the different functions of placenta. It acts as a barrier between the fetus and the mother. It helps in supplying oxygen and nutrients to the fetus from the mother's blood. It removes carbon dioxide and other excretory waste from the fetus. It also acts as an endocrine gland, provides a group of hormones which plays an important role. Each one has got a specific role. So they will be helping together, they'll help in the maintenance of pregnancy. So one by one, I'll tell you the functions again. Human chorionic gonadotropin, it will support endometrial lining, helping in the maintenance of pregnancy, and it will help in maintaining corpus luteum. Human placental lactogen prepares the mammary glands for lactation. It also reduce or decrease the mother's intake of glucose so that it can be used or it can be supplied to the fetus. Then comes estrogen. Estrogen, already you know, the female sex hormone. You have learned a lot about the sex hormone found in females, that is estrogen. So I'm not mentioning about that sex hormone. Progesterone is a hormone coming under a group of hormones known as progestogen. Spelling, you have to be careful. Progesterone is an important progestogen. Progestogens means it's a group of hormones. Under that, progesterone is there, and it is a very important, the most important progestogen, you can say. It helps in regulation of menstrual cycle, maintenance of pregnancy, preparing mammary glands for lactation, and finally relaxin. It will help in relaxing the pelvic ligaments and also softens and widens cervix so that it can facilitate childbirth, or so that the childbirth can take place easily. Okay, so these are the different functions of hormones. So endocrine function and supply of nutrients, removal of waste. These are the main functions performed by placenta. During pregnancy, the levels of estrogens, progestogens, cortisol, prolaxin, thyroxine, etc. will get increased in the maternal blood, and they support fetal growth, growth of the fetus, metabolic changes in the mother, and also helps to maintain pregnancy. Okay, just a minute. During pregnancy, the levels of different hormones like estrogens, progestogens, cortisol, prolactin, thyroxine, all these will get increased. So estrogen, progesterone already I told. Then progesterone is coming. It's a most important progestogen. And then cortisol, prolactin, and thyroxine. Thyroxine you have already learned. It regulates the metabolism of carbohydrate, proteins, and fats. Cortisol also helps in regulating the metabolism, controls blood sugar. Then prolactin promote lactation. Cortisol, I'll repeat once again. Cortisol will help in regulating metabolism, regulates blood sugar. Prolactin promote lactation. Thyroxine regulates metabolism. So when a lady is pregnant, the levels of hormones like estrogens, progestogens, cortisol, prolactin, thyroxine, etc. will get increased. And this is to support fetal growth, because at the time of pregnancy, these hormones are necessary. Only then fetal growth and the different metabolic changes. You know that when a lady becomes pregnant, so many changes are taking place in her metabolic activities. So to support that, these hormones are very, very important, and they also help in maintaining pregnancy. Human chorionic gonadotropin, human placental lactogen, and relaxin are produced in the females only during pregnancy. So in a normal female, you will not find these hormones. So these hormones will be produced because it's with a purpose. You know, I already told you the different functions of HCG, HPL, and relaxin. And these three will be released only at the time of pregnancy. And as you know, human pregnancy, that the time during which the baby remains, the embryo remains, or all these changes takes place within the mother's womb. You call it as a gestation period. The time from conception till delivery, that is gestation period. The time during which the baby is remaining within the mother's womb from conception till the delivery. That is known as gestation period, and it is approximately 9 months or 9 months, 1 week, we say 9 months. Slight fluctuations can be there, but approximately 9 months. But this gestation period is different for different animals. And for cats, it is just 2 months, dogs just 2 months, but elephants 21 months. It's having the very long gestation period when compared to other animals and human beings. So once again, during pregnancy, the levels of different hormones will get increased, like estrogen, progestogens, then cortisol, prolactin, thyroxine, all these will get increased. And the increased level of these hormones are very, very important to support pregnancy, to facilitate, to help out, or to adjust to the metabolic changes in the mother's body, and to support the growth of the fetus. And only during pregnancy, hormones like human chorionic gonadotropin, human placental lactogen, and relaxin will be produced. And human pregnancy, the pregnancy period or the gestation period will be different for different animals. In human beings, it is approximately 9 months, whereas for an elephant, it is 21 months, and cats and dogs just 2 months. So before we deal with the different developmental stages in the development of a fetus or a baby, once again, I'll show you the points. We started with the functions of placenta. Placenta, it acts as a barrier between the mother and the fetus. It serves so many functions, and the different functions that we learned are, it helps in supplying oxygen and nutrients from the mother to the fetus, helps in the removal of carbon dioxide and excretory waste. It also acts as an endocrine gland, releasing different hormones. And these hormones are very, very important, especially for a pregnant lady to carry out different functions. Human chorionic gonadotropin, human placental lactogen, then progesterone, estrogen, and relaxin. Out of these, human chorionic gonadotropin, human placental lactogen, and relaxin. Rest two, estrogens and progesterone can be produced in the body of a lady who is not pregnant also. Normal females also it can be produced. When I say normal female, it doesn't mean that pregnant ladies are abnormal. I just want to differentiate between both. In normal case also, in these hormones, estrogens and progesterone will be released, but only in the case of pregnant ladies, because of the additional functions or tasks their body has to perform. So in order to prepare her for the same, these hormones will be released in their body: human chorionic gonadotropin, human placental lactogen, and relaxin. And during pregnancy, the levels of these hormones, estrogens, progestogens, cortisol, prolactin, thyroxine, apart from that, the three hormones we already said: human chorionic gonadotropin, relaxin, human placental lactogen, etc. Will be released, and the levels of these hormones will be in increased amount, and that is meant for supporting a proper growth of the fetus, then metabolic, to support the metabolic changes in the mother and to maintain pregnancy. And the pregnancy period, the gestation period is different for different organisms. 21 months for an elephant, dogs and cats 2 months, and for human beings approximately 9 months. Any doubt? Now let's see the different changes taking place in the embryo during pregnancy. You can see the different stages. Starting from, we all have passed through the stages there inside our mother's womb. Slowly, 1 month, then 2 months, 3 months, 4, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can see each month the different changes taking place in the embryo. Let's see what are the major changes taking place. After 1 month, heart will be formed. And when these pregnant ladies, they go near the doctor, they used to make them hear the heartbeat of their children, means heartbeat of the fetus inside her womb, because the heart is formed after 1 month. And at the end of the 2nd month, limbs and the digits will be properly developed. You can see in the first figure, you can't make out any limbs and digits over there, but in the 2nd month, all these will be developed. At the end of 12 weeks, 12 weeks means after 3 months, first trimester we say, after the first 3 months, the major organ systems will be formed, and the organs like external genital organs, limbs, etc. will be properly developed. So the development of the limbs and digits have already started in the 2nd month, but at the end of 3rd month, when the first trimester is completed, organ systems are also formed, and external genital organs, limbs, etc. will get well developed. And after 5 months, or during this 5th month, the baby starts to move inside the mother's womb, and the mother can feel it. Mother can feel the movements of the baby inside the womb, and appearance of hair. Hair starts appearing on the head of the baby. And by the end of 24 weeks, 2nd trimester, that is on the completion of 6 months, body will be covered. So earlier only on the head the hair developed, and fine hair will be covering the body of the baby, and the eyelids will get separate, and eyelashes will be formed. So after 6 months, the baby's eyelids, till then it will be joined together. Now it will be separated, and the eyelashes are also formed. And by the end of 9 months, the fetus will be fully developed and ready to get delivered. So these are the different changes taking place in the embryo from the 1st month to the 9th month. So all these you should know, you should be thorough with the different changes taking place during each month. I'll repeat the points once again. After 1 month, formation of heart. Second month, limbs and digits. And the third month, the organ systems are formed. Then external genital organs as well as the limbs will get properly developed. Then fifth month, first movement of the fetus and the appearance of hair on the head. And the movement of the fetus can be felt by the mother, and we can see if we observe the stomach of the mother, you can make out that movements on a tummy. At the end of 24 weeks, the body gets covered with hair, eyelids separate, and eyelashes are formed. And at the end of 9 months, fetus will get fully formed and will be ready to get delivered. Okay? Is that fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Next is parturition. It's very important topic, and the neuroendocrine mechanism that helps in the delivery of the baby. It's a important question asked from this part. Process of giving birth to young ones, that is known as parturition. The delivery of the baby, giving birth, that process is known as parturition. So on the completion of gestation period, parturition takes place. It is induced by a neuroendocrine mechanism. Both nerves and hormones play an important role in carrying out parturition. The signals originating from the fully developed fetus and placenta induce mild uterine contractions. So when the baby is fully developed, signals will arise from there. And because of these signals, or the signals will result, I told it's a neuroendocrine mechanism. The nerves also play an important role. So some signals arise from a fully developed fetus as well as the placenta, and this will initiate, or this will result in the formation of mild uterine contractions. Not vigorous. In the beginning, it will be very mild uterine contractions. The uterus starts to contract and relax gently, mild contraction, and this you call it as fetal ejection reflex. So fetus is fully formed. It cannot remain. The fetus cannot remain further inside the mother's womb. The gestation period is completed. So it is giving signals so that the parturition can take place. So once these signals are released, this will result in fetal ejection reflex, means mild contractions will be produced, and this causes the release of oxytocin from maternal pituitary. Last year you have learned oxytocin is a hormone which will be released from the maternal pituitary, which plays a very important role in parturition. So once again, from the fully developed fetus and placenta, mild uterine signals will arise, and in response to the signals, mild uterine contractions will take place, and the uterine contractions will result in the release of oxytocin hormone from the pituitary of the mother. Oxytocin acts on the uterine muscles. So when mild uterine contractions are taking place, that will stimulate the pituitary to release oxytocin. So once oxytocin is released, it will act on the uterine muscles and promote vigorous and stronger contractions. Okay. So in the beginning, it was mild contractions, and these mild contractions will result in the release of oxytocin. Once oxytocin is released, that will promote much more stronger contractions, and when more stronger contractions takes place, this will further stimulate the pituitary to release more amount of oxytocin. This process will get continued, resulting in, because the baby is delivered when this uterine contractions takes place with the help of the uterine contractions. So this will be continued till the baby is expelled out of the uterus through the birth canal. Hope you're remembering about birth canal that we said. What is birth canal, children? What is birth canal? What makes a birth canal? Anybody?
Cervical canal and vagina.
Once again, the
Cervical canal and vagina.
vagina together known as birth canal, because baby is delivered through this canal after parturition, and in response to this the baby will get delivered. And you know that the baby is attached to the mother with the help of the umbilical cord. So once parturition, even when parturition is taking place, the umbilical cord will be attached to the baby. And you have heard cases where, because of the movements of the baby, sometimes this umbilical cord can twist around its around the neck of the baby, which can lead to further complications. So anyways, the umbilical cord will be attached to the baby even after parturition, or even while this delivery is taking place. And once that is completed, the umbilical cord will be cut off, as you can see in the picture. So it will be cut off, and later it won't be see, one portion will be cut and a small portion will be remaining attached to the baby, which will get later fall off from the body of the baby. The placenta and remnants of the umbilical cord will be expelled out from the maternal body after parturition, and you call it as afterbirth. It's not only the baby that gets delivered. So once the baby is delivered, now placenta is already, you know that in pregnant ladies, placenta develops with a purpose. It is meant for nourishing the baby, to carry out different functions that helps in supporting the pregnancy. So once the baby is delivered, placenta is no longer needed. So as soon as the baby is delivered, the placenta also, along with the remnants of umbilical cord with which the placenta was attached to the embryo, will be expelled out. And this is known as afterbirth. Already the birth of the baby has taken place, which is followed by this afterbirth. I'll repeat the points once again. Parturition is the process of giving birth to young ones. It is brought about by neuroendocrine mechanism. You can be asked to explain the neuroendocrine mechanism that helps in parturition. So when the baby or when the fetus is fully grown, signals will arise from the fully developed fetus and placenta. These signals will induce mild uterine contractions, which you call as fetal ejection reflex. And this will stimulate the pituitary of the mother to release the hormone known as oxytocin. And once oxytocin is released, it will cause further stronger uterine contractions, and again more and more oxytocin will be released. And as oxytocin is being released, they will again promote further vigorous uterine contractions, and this will get continued, or this process will be continued. Means the uterine contractions will take place. This will stimulate pituitary to release oxytocin, and once oxytocin is released, this will promote much more stronger contractions. Depending upon the amount of oxytocin, more and more stronger contractions of the uterus will take place. This gets continued, and the baby will be delivered through the birth canal. And once parturition has taken place, the umbilical cord will be cut off. And next what happens is after birth. The placenta, the remnants of placenta and umbilical cord, etc. also will be expelled out, followed by the delivery of the baby. And this is known as afterbirth, because now it is no more needed. Placenta is not needed again, because the lady has delivered the baby. Placenta was formed as a connection, as a functional unit between the mother and the fetus. So when the baby is delivered, after the delivery of the baby, placenta is no longer needed. So the placenta and the umbilical cord will be expelled out from the body of the mother, and you call it as after birth. Okay. Any doubt? Lydia, Vidur, Anna, Anthony, Naureen, Nia, Rijas. Anybody is having doubt? No. Okay. So quickly summarize so that we can proceed to the last part of the chapter. Rijas, you may start from parturition.
Parturition, the process of giving birth
Process of giving birth to young ones. And explain the endocrine mechanism involved. Steffi? Michael, Anna, Naureen, Nia. Yes, Rijas, I got the answer.
mechanism.
I got the answer. Steffi can continue.
The signals originating from the fully developed fetus and placenta induce mild uterine contractions. Fetal ejection reflex.
Okay. Punya?
This causes a release of oxytocin by the pituitary to stimulate further.
Anna. Oxytocin is released from the pituitary. What is next?
Uterine muscle contracts and stimulate the secretion of
more amount of
oxytocin.
And when more amount of oxytocin is released, what happens, Michael? When more amount of oxytocin is released?
It leads to the expulsion of the fetus out of the birth.
Suddenly, something else is happening. More amount of oxytocin is released. It will promote what? Naureen, what happens?
Stronger uterine muscle contractions.
Uterine contractions. Michael, what is that?
Stronger uterine contractions.
The more the amount of oxytocin, the stronger will be the uterine contractions, and this process will get repeated, and the baby will be delivered. And then, Malavika, continue. Parturition has taken place. Now what?
After parturition, the umbilical cord is cut off.
Yes. What is after birth? Gayatri, what is after birth?
After the birth of a baby, the remnants of the umbilical cord and the placenta are also delivered. This is known as after birth.
Will be expelled out, and that is known as after birth. Now, next is about lactation, the last part of the chapter. And the mammary glands undergo differentiation. You know that once the lady is pregnant, at that time itself, the changes start taking place in a body, and the mammary glands undergo differentiation, and they produce milk towards the end of pregnancy. So by the completion of this pregnancy, the mammary glands undergo changes and starts producing milk, and this process is known as lactation. And during the first few days, initial few days of lactation, the color of the milk produced will be slightly yellowish in color, and you call this milk as colostrum. You can see in the picture the normal milk, the normal breast milk, as well as colostrum. You can notice a color change between both. And the colostrum is very, very important for the baby because the colostrum is rich in different antibodies. These antibodies, you know that when any foreign particle is entering our body, it will stimulate the production of antibodies, and these antibodies fight against infection. So here in colostrum, along with the colostrum, the baby is taking in different antibodies. And these antibodies will help the baby to get resistance towards different diseases. So colostrum is very, very important, and it is necessary that the baby gets colostrum so that it can develop resistance in his future life. Breastfeeding during the initial stages of infant growth is very essential for bringing up a healthy baby. So this statement can be asked, and you can be asked to give the reason for that. The last statement, breastfeeding during the initial stages of infant growth is very essential for bringing up a healthy baby. Give reason. So you can say that An yellowish colored secretion is produced during the first few days of lactation. You call it as colostrum, and this colostrum is rich in antibodies, and these antibodies will help in developing resistance in the baby so that it can grow up to a healthy baby. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt? Yes or no?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, who is going to summarize? Vidur?
The mammary glands undergo differentiation and produce milk towards the end of the pregnancy.
This is known as
lactation.
Okay. Lydia?
In the first 2 days, milk will be in yellowish color.
What do you call it? What do you call that yellow colored milk? Starting with C. Michael, what is that?
Colostrum.
Okay, Lydia. Tell me now. You heard, no? What he said?
No, ma'am, once more.
Okay. Nevin, tell me the name.
Colostrum.
Colostrum. What is it?
Colostrum.
What is its significance? What is its significance? What does it contain? What does it contain? Steffi, I'll come back to you. Listen.
It contains several antibodies, which is
and
essential for resistance of the baby.
Okay. Lydia heard? It is rich in antibodies which help in developing resistance to diseases in the baby. Okay, Lydia? Repeat.
Contains antibody which help in resisting
developing resistance to diseases. Just resistance, if we say also, that is understood. Resistance against diseases, so that the baby can grow up to a healthy baby. Okay, it will grow into a healthy baby if this colostrum is provided to the baby. So it is very, very important that colostrum is provided to the baby. With that, we have completed the chapter. Okay, no doubts in the chapter. Next period, we will start with chapter reproductive health. Chapter 4, reproductive health. Any doubts in these two chapters that we covered? You want a class test? No. Yes or no? The first test itself is pending. Oral or written? Nandana, somebody please respond. Yeah, I'm audible, no? Yes, Nandana?
Anything will do.
Okay. When do you want it? Tell me a day. Think and tell me a day. Okay. So that you will make it thorough, and then we'll have the test. I don't want you to put the test for namesake. You learn it thoroughly and let me know. Okay. Is that clear? After Vishu, you can fix a date, but do learn a very small chapter. Learn it thoroughly. Oral or written test, I'll tell you later. Anyway, you come prepared. So we'll wind up. We'll start the next chapter, next period. Okay, thank you, children.